You heard Preeti and Sanjit talk earlier on stage about menstruation, menopause. Things change and yet it feels like nothing ever changes. When will we be beyond blood? Why is blood defining biases, discomfort with oneself, almost an interruption in our dreams? When will this stop? I want to welcome the next panel. And there's some 4 amazing women who are about to step on stage. Put your hands together for Malini Agarwal, Shamita Shetty, Sandhya Mridul, and Neha Kanabar. Hello! Hello, hi. Hello, hi Sandhya. Hello. Malini.
Thank you. Hello. Wow, this is so exciting. First of all, please give yourselves a round of applause for being this fabulous audience that's here to talk about such important topics. And Barkha, can we give her a round of applause for putting this together every year? I'm so honored to be here. We're actually here for the first time, and I'm super, super excited. And of course, I have an incredible panel of wonderful women to discuss a topic that most people don't talk about too much. Do you guys know what we're here to talk about? Yes. Say it out loud. Menopause, menstruation. We have actually chosen to dress in the theme color of today. No, but you know, honestly, jokes aside, and it's so important to have these conversations and have them in a fun, maybe not so serious way sometimes. So I would really love to start with a topic that'll take us a little bit back in time, and probably something that I'm sure every woman at least here can relate with, and maybe some of the guys. When you first hit your period, what was that experience like for you? Was it something that was shocking? Were you excited about it? Was it something you were anticipating? What was that experience for you?
It was definitely not exciting.
Yeah.
I was very confused. I was scared. And of course, I went to an all-girls convent. So I was taken away to this room that I'd never seen before. And then the nuns out there gave me a pad. And it was all, I mean, it was a little scary for me, you know.
Yeah.
But after that, I think the initial years, I experienced a lot of pain as well. But that kind of just went down in time. And of course, I got used to it.
Yeah. And it can be such an overwhelming experience. What about you, Neha?
So Malini, I come from a traditional Brahmin family, which is very conservative. And we are 3 sisters and live with a joint family. So in my family, when I experienced my first periods, I think I've always seen that girls in our family, or menstruation rather, is looked at, as more of a shame and secrecy rather than, talked about it, or even somebody, like I literally had a struggle to even, come to my mother or go to my mother rather to ask for a pad or even share with us. In spite of them being very educated and coming from a very, financially rich background, none of them wanted to talk about it. And I was also hushed that I should not talk about it. So for me, it was a very sad experience. We were also given a different mattress, and we were treated as untouchables, and we were asked to just be there for those 5 days.
Don't touch the achar.
Don't touch anything. Achars are a different league altogether. Like puja ka saman ya achar is, so we are not talking about it. You can't even touch the sofa where others are sitting. You have a different mattress to sleep there. And we used to do rounds with that mattress, all the sisters and the cousins and all of us. So, yeah.
And that's what's crazy is that, we think experiences like this happen in rural India,
Yeah.
or they'll happen in
Yeah.
different societies,
Yeah.
and they don't happen to women like us.
It's happening here right now.
It's happening
yeah.
here right now. What about you, Sam?
No, of course, it was extremely frightening. I don't know why there's always shame and guilt attached to everything a woman goes through. I really don't know what kind of conditioning this has been. I can't directly blame anybody in the family for this conditioning, but it's just an inbuilt mechanism that makes you instantly feel horrible and dirty and not good, and unable
already
to,
it's so painful and so uncomfortable.
and unable to tell anyone like you've done something wrong. Fortunately, I was really close to my Masi, so I kept sitting in the bathroom, and then she was in town at that time, so I started, yelling out her name, and, she came and she helped me. Also, in my mind, I was a boy. I was a tomboy, so I don't know why the hell this was happening to me. I grew up with two brothers, and I was like, why the hell am I going through this? Why are they not going through this? So then that question started. My question all my life has been this: why are men not going through it? And it still persists.
And it's so funny. I remember doing like a sketch comedy about what if men woke up having a period one day. And it was this, the whole world was turned around. And what I think is actually, it's so heartbreaking to hear what you've been through. And we're talking about it lightly, but I don't take it lightly. But I think that the positive piece on this is that I think at least the world has come to this place where now the mothers, the sisters, the leaders will not put other women through this. Like, you wouldn't think of doing this to the women in your orbit. And I'll tell you my story. I didn't know about periods. My mom actually never told, and maybe she didn't know, that there are two different holes to pee in and where the baby comes out from. So I thought it's just one, which is why it was this really. But I remember my sister was yelling to my mom saying, "Can I have a pad?" And I'm like, why does she need a pad in the bathroom? And my sister, who's 12 years older than me, sat me down and explained. First, she's like, "Where do babies come from?" And even I awkwardly was like, "Down there." She goes, "No, tell me where." All of that, all of that. So I think it's really important to note that this stigma and this fear comes from that, conditioning as a child. And that's changed. I think that's changed a lot. But now we have a new version where we don't talk about menopause and perimenopause, because now, again, I think it used to be that people didn't like talking about periods or the blood coming out of our vaginas because that leads to women's sexuality in some way. But now on the way out, why is it an issue, right? So first of all, I think for a lot of people, even the concept of what is perimenopause is kind of a blank slate. And since you've all spoken about this so much, I'd love for you to maybe just break it down for everyone. What is perimenopause? What happens to a woman when they go through menopause? And is it something scary? How do you know it's happening? All of that,
Personally, for me, I didn't know anything about perimenopause. I knew about menopause, but at the age of 45, I think this year, I just chanced upon an article that explained everything I was going through, and that's when I started reading more.
So what are some of the things that you go through in perimenopause, I think?
So, I mean, for me, the biggest one was brain fog. I, for the life of me, couldn't understand why I was forgetting things. I would just lose myself in a conversation sometimes. I suddenly put on a lot of weight, aches and pains in my body. There was palpitations. That's a big one for me because it happened so badly for 3 months continuously. I actually went to a cardiologist to see if everything was okay. So, I mean, there are a bunch of symptoms. You know that you're going to go through hot flashes and all of that during menopause. Okay, we have a little bit of, we know about menopause, but we don't know that we're going to experience all of this before that as well, and for a few years before that. So perimenopause was a new concept for me. And when I started talking about it, my girlfriends resonated with everything I was talking about because even they didn't know. So I'm so glad that this generation is actually talking about stuff like this,
And openly. And I think,
Openly,
and I mean, I would just like
exactly.
to involve the audience here. Raise your hand if you know what perimenopause is. Just got to know, right?
Very
And
few.
understand.
See?
And I think, and I was telling
There are
this funny...
about 10 hands.
10 hands. And I was telling
And
this
you
story backstage, and I think this is maybe a sign to me. Someone told me when I was like, oh, I remember in like a throwaway comment, I said, oh, maybe I'm perimenopausal. And this very well-intentioned lady said, don't manifest it. And I think psychologically, I've literally been doing that. I'm like, I won't think about it. I won't talk about it. That it won't happen to me. But I would love for you to explain like a little bit more about what is it? When does it happen?
I would like to
Perimenopause
add
is
something when Shamita was talking about it, Sandhya, and I was like, "Are ye to mere saath bhi ho raha hai? Is it perimenopause?" So I think even that kind of awareness is not there.
Perimenopause is something that happens before the seatbelt sign comes on. Literally, because, when that comes on, something's going to hit you. It hits you from nowhere, and I resonate because I would walk to the kitchen, and then I would say, why am I here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just go back to the room. Oh, no, I wanted. Oh, yeah, what? Why am I in the hall? And I'd go back. And I just said, oh, my God, I'm suffering from dementia. I'm suffering. All kinds of health scares happen. And then I'm shooting for a film in freezing cold in Himachal with -3 degrees. It's raining. We are wearing like 6 layers. So this is what happens, okay? And I have no idea what's going on in my life. I mean, I don't know this seatbelt sign is not on yet. So I'm just there shooting with Adil Hussain, and suddenly water starts pouring down my face, and I'm drenched. And I'm standing on the set, and I start throwing off my clothes. I take off the sweater, I take off the jacket, I take off the hat, I take off the muffler, I take off...
And at this point, you probably think you're having a
and
panic
the
attack.
whole unit is looking at me and saying, these weird women, these actresses, you know, what is she doing? And fortunately, I had a man like Adil Hussain who said, cut, it's okay, darling, do what you need to do. And I went, cut, 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 cut. And the next minute, I started freezing, so I started wearing it all back. So within 3 minutes, I had taken off everything and worn back everything, you know, and this is the beast.
And, you
that
know,
we're
I
not
think-
prepared for.
And I think what happens is, honestly, is that, you know, it all sounds so maybe almost trivial at some stage. You're like, oh, so then what's
Yeah.
the big deal? You're not having a heart attack. Nothing really is happening to you. But, you know, where they've done those experiments where they made men put on the feeling of if you had cramps, what you'd feel like. You know, Neha, I want to come to you on community, on the piece a little bit, is that you work with so many moms. And it's so interesting, especially in countries like India, when, you know, we don't want to talk about periods, we don't want to talk about menopause, but everybody's very excited when there's good news. Right? That you had a baby. Now, all of this is all part of the circle of life, obviously. I'd love to know, and since you're such a, you know, great champion of community and building community, what can some women and men who are sitting in the audience today do, even whatever little piece of information they take away, to help ease the mental agony, or what can people go and tell other people in the community about perimenopause or menopause that will help in some way?
So Malini, as you rightly pointed out, that a community of mothers is a great space or safe space to discuss topics like this. But unfortunately or fortunately, till the time Facebook never had anonymous tab on their groups, our mothers were still not talking about it. I'm glad that Facebook started with this anonymous tab, because of which today mothers are sharing more. They are still, like, I have a post. In fact, this morning when I was coming in, I was trying to just scroll through my notes to, you know, share with you all. There's one mother who's written today that I have a 10-year-old and she has got her first periods. And I don't know what to tell her and who to tell this. So the mother's still ashamed. First, she's ashamed, or she feels that 10 years is such a young age. She doesn't want to even share it with her relatives. And second, she doesn't know how to tackle this or how to talk to her daughter. So I think when conversations like these are happening today, I think this is a very, very, very relevant stage. Or Malini, what you're hosting today is a very relevant conversation with us, because this conversation has to happen every single day, every single household. And I think there are two areas where we all, you know, can learn from. One is creating awareness through forums like this, and in every way you can. Right. Talk to your neighbor, talk to your best friend, talk to whatever age you guys are. Talk to them on what exactly is happening. Like today when both of them talked about the, you know, the dementia problem, even I thought it the same way, Sandhya. And now I want to go back and look at it, that is it perimenopause, which I never thought about it. Second, I think, is education. Of course, go to the right sources. Do not just go to any random people and talk about it. Go to your gynec. Go and see a doctor if you ever feel that there's something wrong with your body. I think how mental health is a taboo. Unfortunately, anything and everything which begins with men is now tabooed, which shouldn't happen, guys.
But you know, on that, on that note, I want to do add.
Oh, she said it.
Just to add one thing, I do want to take a little moment to appreciate all the boys and men who are in this audience. Please give them a round of applause, because I know that in society your conditioning is that you don't need to be part of this conversation. This is not for you. But the most important
In fact,
piece of
Malini,
learning is
we just discussed behind, you know, backstage, that there's this guy who has sent me a message. After seeing that we are on this panel, I got to read it for you, because it's a man, and that too, not my friend, someone very random, who wrote to me. I just know him work-wise. He's writing to me on this poster. It's an important subject to loosen the taboo on this subject, and such platforms will create a great change in our society. We also want to work on this subject and come up with a solution to let every girl and women live a life which is taboo.
That's amazing.
Men are talking about it. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
No,
And
but
actually-
more men need to, I think, be educated.
You know, so I
a
actually.
little on this issue, because at the end of the day, it helps when our partners know what we are naturally going through, and every woman out there is going to go through this.
So I actually have a question for both Sandhya and Shamita. I tell you what it is. I think let's get down to brass tacks, right? What is the stigma attached to the idea of perimenopause or menopause, that you're going to having a period? Is it that, and especially in the industries that you guys are in, Does it make you less sexy? Does it make you less desirable? Where is this coming?
It just makes you also a bit disagreeable, okay? And it's not like we are being difficult or being moody. We are just going through hell. So, you know, even when I was with my boyfriend, I would tell him, ye 3 din mujhe mat milo. Mat milo, because you're not going to be able to handle it. You're going to make me feel worse, and I'm going to be freaking out on you.
And I might kill you.
And I don't want to explain why, because I don't know why. I wish I was a better person these 3 days. I want to be a better person, but the point is, you're not going to be. You're going to be a terrible person. If you're with somebody who's going to make you feel terrible about it, because anxiety, mood fluctuations, these are real and they are painful, okay? So educating men, so whoever's recording this, listening to this, please share this with the men.
So I actually have a tweak on this. You know, I feel that a lot of the content out there, you know, we all laugh about it, right? We're like, okay, we're so crazy these 3 days, stay away, and all of that. But I think let's look at a positive bend, you know, because look at all the men and the women in the audience. Let's look for the empathy factor in this, right? What are we looking for that will help us during whether you're having your period or you're menopausal or you're menopausal or any of the things. And, you know, there are conditions. How many people know what endometriosis is?
Endometriosis.
All right, I think, Shamita, please explain what it is and how serious it is.
Oh, wow. So endometriosis is something that can just happen, okay? There are no reasons why it happens, and a lot of women are actually suffering from this and don't even know they are suffering from this. And I have to say, for about 6 months, I was complaining about a lot of pain to my gynac. My gynac did not tell me. My gynac did not suspect this could be an issue. I changed my gynac and went to the right one, luckily, after doing my transvaginal scans, to CT scans, to MRIs, to everything possible. She's the one who actually suspected it could be endometriosis. So basically, it's the lining, you know, in the uterus, okay, that goes, that obviously forms in our monthly cycle. And when the egg goes in and it's not fertilized, it comes out with the lining and we get our period, right? Sometimes this lining goes up in reverse out of the fallopian tubes, and it can just go deposit itself on various organs out there, and every month it bleeds from there.
It starts to collect.
It starts to collect, and it is extremely painful. Now, I am someone who can take a lot of pain. Okay, I've been through several injuries in my body, but for me to actually wake up from my sleep with this pain, I knew something was off. Yeah. And now that I've done my surgery, there's no guarantee that it's not going to come back. I still have uterine endometriosis, but what was outside at least is taken out, you know. So, and when my own sister did not know about endometriosis, my mother couldn't even pronounce it. It took them a while, like even
I'm
you
still
just
struggling.
now. Yeah. So
these are not things that are in our vocabulary.
They're
not things we
vocabulary.
think about.
There is so much that women have to go through because we are literally controlled by our hormones. You know, a lot of people, I see so many videos on social media where men are making fun of women, their mood swings, and how, you know, how we overreact and all of that. Damn it, have these hormones, and then I want to see how you're going to be.
You know, what she said, what you've asked, is so relevant because then they say menopause, perimenopause, like an umbrella. Yeah. It's an umbrella, but under that umbrella is very scary stuff, okay? There's palpitations, there's this, there's endometriosis, there's fibromyalgia, there's heart, there's cardiovascular issues, there's anxiety, there's depression. There's a lot of sicknesses under that umbrella of menopause. And it starts with perimenopause.
So I have one, since I only have a minute left, I would like for each of you to maybe say to your younger or older self, one piece of knowledge or advice that has come to you over time that maybe you weren't aware of that might help someone in the audience. And can everyone raise their hand and make a promise that you're going to share this with someone today, whether it's a friend or a family member, a sibling. Please raise your hand if you're going to make that promise. I want to see everyone's hands up. Yeah. Okay, so everyone, and I will do mine as well. One thing that you wish you had known that might help.
My God, we're all stumped because really there's nothing you could have known that could have
There's
helped.
just more and more you get to know in time. But I think to my younger self, I would probably just say it gets better. Stop being so hard on yourself, you know. Sometimes we're always seeking validation from outside. And it's okay if people don't understand what, you know, what you're going through. It's natural. You know what I mean? Just don't be scared to express yourselves. If you're not feeling okay, bloody say it. It's okay. It's fine, you know. So I think to my younger self, I will just say, it gets better. Yeah, I'm stronger today with all the information that I have, and I know I'm not alone in this. You know, I know there are, every woman out there is going to go through this or is going through this. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, I think that's a good message that you're not alone in this.
I think my message would be something which is also our community's tagline, that ek break to banta hai. So mothers community, I would want to say that mothers and their me time is the most critical time. In fact, whatever we are saying here is all about you as a caregiver. But don't just be a caregiver. Also give yourself some self-love, because that's the start of everything positive, everything good. So start with self-love, and on the menstruation thing, I would like to give one liner from my side that, of course, we are doing a lot of storytelling here and we all have started storytelling. But don't just be a storyteller. Try to break the stigma, because that's where we'll really bring in the change we are looking out. So that's it from my side.
I would tell my younger self that be prepared that anything can happen. When you take a trek up the Himalayas, you don't know what's going to happen, but you are prepared for something to happen, right? So be prepared for anything to happen, because that will give you some level of acceptance. People will not understand. Don't expect them to understand. Give yourself that acceptance, and hopefully you will get acceptance from people around you. And be prepared for whatever it is to come, because it will come.
And I'll give you my last piece of advice. Yes, please. Applause is always welcome. Please show us the love. One final piece of advice I would say, and I would like to tell my younger self, don't be afraid to ask for help and kindness from your circle of love and friends. Not everybody will understand, but there's going to be someone, a friend, a family member, and what you can go and tell someone today is that, you know, if you're ever going through a painful time, whether you're having your period or you think you're perimenopausal, you can talk to me about it. And that would be a huge help.
Educate your sons.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And guys, educate your friends. And we're out of time. And Barkat, thank you so much for having us.
And I think Shamita was trying to say something, so let me carry the mic to her. Yes.
No, I was just trying to say this, you know, just educate your sons. I think men need to be sensitized a little more out there, because at the end of the day, we live our lives with our partners, right? And it would really be, it would make our relationship stronger and nicer, because now I see there are so many relationships just falling apart, and women are, you know, blamed for being oversensitive and over-emotional and all of that crap. But they need to understand that it's a package deal. We come along with all of these, you know, emotions and hormones and all of that. We're born with it.
I do want to add one thing. When you go to shops and you buy pads and they cover it with newspaper, please remove it and throw it right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the black plastic bags that you have
Just
to
throw
hide
it
them
right
in.
there and send your brothers to buy your tampons and pads. Maybe we
Well
can start
said.
there.
Well said. I want to take this moment to honor these 4 amazing women who are breaking the taboo, the silence around conversations, and are so outspoken. Malini, Sandhya, Neha, Shamita, can I ask you to step forward? Can we have our awards out? And may I request Sandhya Shetty, who's one of our partners in the menopause space. You heard from him at length earlier, and he's coming up with his colleague to present these awards. These are the Her Awards.
I have to say he's family, and I'm so happy that being a man, you are doing so much for us.
Ranjit, we've heard from you, but any last congratulations you want to give to these 4 women?
You have to really salute them. You know, it's so tough for you to come in a public platform like this and really speak of something that is so inside and something so personal. So can I just bow my head?
And well done to being a male in this space and leading the conversation. May I ask you to honor the four her awardees, Hope, Empower, Rise. Malini Agarwal, let's hear it for Malini. Sandhya Mridul. Sandhya Mridul, let's hear it for Sandhya. Neha, very old friend of the festival. It's great to have her back. And Shamita. Let's hear it for all of our fantastic awardees. And all right, let's get a picture there. And I really hope that the conversations today make it easier for all of you to have these conversations in your own spaces, and that is what you take away from the day you've spent here today. Thank you very much, ladies.
Let's hear it for Barkha, who has been inspiring conversations like this year on year, relentlessly. Thank you, Barkha. We all love you.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Ladies, if I can ask you to, you can go through the wings. Oh, they all want a picture? Well, 1 minute. Backstage, backstage, backstage. Okay. Here, through the wings. Sanjay, you can go off stage. Bye, bye, bye.